The sun was just beginning to dip beyond the horizon, painting the sky with streaks of orange and violet, when the thunder of engines echoed down the quiet highway. A group of bikers, leather vests, tattoos, and steel-hearted stares, rode together like a moving storm. To most they looked like trouble. To anyone who saw them pass, they were men to be feared. But that evening, fate was about to show the world what true strength and kindness really looked like. At a dusty roadside diner on the outskirts of town, the group parked their bikes, laughing, swapping stories, and teasing one another like brothers. Their leader, Jackson Beer Malone, a former Marine with a grizzled beard and eyes that had seen too much, stretched his arms and headed inside. He thought it would be another quiet night. A meal, a refill of coffee, maybe a story or two before hitting the road again. But that peace was shattered the moment a small, terrified voice screamed across the parking lot. "Help! Please! They're beating my mama!" The laughter stopped. Every biker froze. A little girl, no older than 7, came running barefoot down the dusty road. Her pink t-shirt was smeared with dirt, her tiny hands shaking as tears streamed down her face. The sight of her hit Bear like a punch to the gut. He dropped his coffee before it even reached his lips. The mug shattered on the ground, but no one cared. "They're hurting my mama," she sobbed again, her voice cracking from fear and desperation. "Please somebody help her? KL2ACTO1. If you believe kindness still exists in this world, hit that like button, share this story, and subscribe to Kindness Universe. Because today, you're about to witness something powerful." Bear knelt in front of the little girl, his voice low but steady. "Hey, sweetheart. What's your name?" "Lily," she stammered, trembling. "They took my mama inside the house, the one with the red door. They're hitting her." Bear's jaw tightened. Behind him, his crew, men with names like Tank, Rocco, and Diesel, exchanged grim looks. They weren't strangers to danger. They'd seen violence before, but this was different. This was a child begging for her mother's life. "Tank, get on the bike," Bear ordered. "Rocco, you're with me. Rest of you, spread out. Nobody hurts a woman or a child on my watch." Within seconds, the engines roared to life again. The girl climbed onto Bear's motorcycle, holding onto him tightly as they sped down the dirt road. Dust rose behind them like smoke, the sound of engines blending with her muffled cries. They arrived at a rundown shack at the edge of a small field, a place that looked forgotten by the world. The red door hung half open. Inside, muffled shouting and the sound of something breaking filled the air. Bear's eyes narrowed. He didn't think. He just moved. He kicked open the door with a force that sent it slamming into the wall. Inside, 2 men stood over a woman, their fists raised. She was on the floor, blood trickling from her lip, shielding her face with trembling hands. "EI!" Bear's roar filled the house like thunder. "Step away from her. Now." One of the men turned, sneering. "Who the hell are you?" "Someone you don't want to mess with." Before the man could even respond, Bear charged forward. Years of Marine training kicked in, swift, controlled, and precise. The first man hit the wall, the second swung a bottle, but Bear ducked and landed a brutal punch that dropped him instantly. The other bikers stormed in moments later, pulling the men apart and restraining them. The woman, Lily's mother, was sobbing uncontrollably, clutching her daughter the moment she saw her run through the door. Baby, I'm okay," she whispered. Even though she clearly wasn't, Bear looked at them, his heart heavy. "You're safe now," he said softly. "No one's gonna hurt you again." That night, the police came, handcuffed the abusers, and took statements. The bikers stayed the entire time, ensuring the woman and her child were cared for. When the officers asked who called it in, Bear simply said, "A brave little girl did. She saved her mama." After everything calmed down, Bear led the woman and Lily outside. The night air was cool and quiet. Stars glittered above them, a strange calm after all the chaos. "You got somewhere to go?" Bear asked gently. The woman shook her head, wiping her swollen cheek. "Nowhere. We were trying to get away from him. I didn't think he'd find us again." Bear exhaled slowly, glancing back at his crew. "You can stay with us for the night," he said. "We've got cabins near the highway. Nobody's gonna touch you there. I promise." She hesitated, but Lily looked up at Bear with wide, trusting eyes. "Mama, he's nice," she whispered. "He's like a hero." Bear smiled faintly. "Nah, sweetheart, I just do what's right." The next morning, sunlight poured over the biker camp. Lily giggled as she sat on Tank's shoulders, wearing his oversized sunglasses. The men, who once seemed so intimidating, were now handing her chocolate bars and fixing her hair with gentle, clumsy hands. Bear watched from a distance, feeling something shift inside him. He'd lived a rough life, lost his wife years ago, rode the open road to outrun the ghosts that followed him. But seeing Lily's laughter, her mother's tears of gratitude, it reminded him of something he thought he'd forgotten. Hope later, as her mother sat by the campfire with a blanket around her, she whispered, "You saved us. I don't even know how to thank you." "You already did," Bear replied. "You kept fighting. That's what heroes do." She looked at him then, really looked, past the beard, the leather, the scars, and she saw not a biker, not a fighter, but a man with a heart that refused to turn cold. For the first time in a long while, Bear felt something warm flicker in his chest. Maybe this wasn't just about saving someone. Maybe it was about finding family in the unlikeliest of places. Weeks passed. The bikers helped the woman, whose name was Emily, get back on her feet. They found her a job at the diner. Lily became the camp's little sunshine, running from bike to bike, handing out flowers and hugs. Every time Bear saw her, she reminded him that even the hardest roads can lead to the most unexpected kindness. Then, one evening, as the sun dipped again over that same dusty highway, Bear saw Emily standing beside his bike. "We're moving into a new house tomorrow," she said softly. "It's small, but it's ours. I couldn't have done it without you." Bear smiled. "That's the point, Emily. We help each other stand again." She stepped closer, her eyes shining. "You didn't just help us stand. You gave us back our lives." Chiale to a sit-down twinsy. If this story touched your heart, make sure to hit that like button, drop a comment for Bear and Lily, and subscribe to Kindness Universe, where every story reminds us that compassion can still change the world. As Bear watched them drive away the next morning, Lily leaned out the car window and waved. "Bye, Uncle Bear, I love you!" He chuckled, waving back. "Love you too, kiddo. Keep your mama safe." And as the car disappeared into the horizon, Bear turned back to his crew. The road was calling again, but his heart felt a little lighter. Sometimes heroes don't wear capes. Sometimes they wear leather, carry scars, and ride steel horses into sunsets, not for glory but for kindness. Because the toughest men often have the softest hearts. And that day, a little girl's cry didn't just save her mother. It reminded a group of bikers, and the world, that true strength comes from standing up for what's right. Moral kindness isn't weakness, it's power. And when the strong choose to protect the innocent, the world becomes a little less dark.